Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing another viewer requested map, and this map was actually requested by quite a few people, and that is turning the hardest map in Bloons TD6, Bloody Puddles, into a beginner map. So I have a rough idea of how to turn this expert map, or the hardest map in Bloons, into a beginner map, but we do have a couple of issues. So if you take a look at Bloody Puddles, the biggest issue are going to be the little water ponds. Because the little water ponds, they have these stamp effects in them, but the stamp effects that we have in the map editor are a little bit too small. So it's going to be kind of rough, like making the small watering holes look as good as they do in the Bloody Puddles. As well as there's a lot of props that are used in Muddy Puddles that we really don't have in the BTD6 Map Editor. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to like make the map as good as the official map, but I'm definitely going to try my best to like try to get it as close as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the pathway set up. So because we don't have the actual Bloody Puddles pathway either, I think I'm going to stick with this pathway here because I think this pathway actually looks pretty good. If this pathway doesn't work out, then I'll try to do something a little bit different. But the more I looked at the Bloody Puddles pathway, the more I realized that I'm not going to be able to create my own pathway because there are 5 pathways that we have to work with. Additionally, there is a lot of detail on this map that we're going to have to put. So we're not going to be able to get away with using our own custom pathway. All right, dudes. So we're getting to the point where we're going to be finishing up the pathways. Now, you guys may be looking at this like, yo, Titan, this is just a normal Bloody Puddles map with a different background and a different pathway. But what you guys don't see is that I actually already turned this map into a beginner map. And I'll show you guys that once I finish up with this pathway, because we're going to go ahead and jump into the game to see how, or jump into a game to see how it's going to look. And I think you guys will be pretty surprised at what I use in order to turn this into a beginner map. All right, so obviously we're going to have to go through and clean up these pathways just a little bit. But for the most part, I think I have all of the pathways set up. So let's go ahead and jump into a game really quick to see what these pathways are going to look like and what the mechanics behind this map are. All right, so right away, you guys may notice something a little bit off about all of these pathways. So you'll notice that all of the pathways enter in from the top. But another thing that you'll notice is that for some reason, there's no red arrows down here on the bottom. But up here in the middle of the map, there's actually a bunch of arrows that are exiting into the middle of the map. And that's exactly what I did to turn this into a beginner map. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves some monkey sub, and you guys will see exactly how this is going to work. So all of the balloons will come from the top, and then as soon as they come in from the top, they're going to exit in the bottom, and then they're going to come up through the middle of the pathway. So this is what I did to turn the hardest map in Bloons TD6 into a expert map. Is I gave it all 5 pathways, but I made it so that all of the pathways would converge here in the middle of the map off screen and then exit on a single pathway. So I thought this would be a really cool idea because, I mean, I saw this on another person's map where they took advantage of the slider and they made the pathway actually go off the map. So I thought that was a really cool idea, and I really like that idea as well. So now that we have the pathways set up, let me go ahead and I think I want to do a little bit of cleaning up with the pathways because they do look a little bit weird. I mean, they don't have to look perfect, but at the very least, I do want like the tops of the pathway to look good. And even though there are like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 pathways going through the middle here. So if you guys like notice that this pathway looks a little bit weird, it's because there's 6 pathways that all line up in the middle here. So I did my best to like try and make them line up as good as good as I possibly could. But even though I try my best, like there's still going to be like points in the map where I like where I'm not really going to be able to do too much about it. So again, I tried my best to make these like pathways line up as best as I could, but even though I tried my best, there's still going to be like certain spots in the pathway where it's not going to be overlapping, and that's just because of the sheer amount of pathways that we have going through one single pathway. So another thing that you guys may be asking yourself, yo, Titan, like, what are you going to do for the area? Because the area for Bloody Puddles isn't in any of the backgrounds. But we do have kind of a similar background with this area here. Like, it's a little bit darker than the normal Bloody Puddles map, but I think this should serve quite nicely. But we are going to have a little bit of an issue. because another thing that we have to keep in mind is that we're gonna have to like come up with the little water areas. But the water areas that are on the Bloody Puddles map, like I was saying, they all have the similar look, where the water areas have like this like I want to say like a swampy vibe, but because the stamps are so small, we're not really able to do anything about like the water area. So I'm debating on whether or not I just want to add a little bit of detail by like throwing this in the corner of a water effect and then like using this water effect right here. So I think that's probably going to be the only thing we're going to be able to do, because unfortunately, like I was saying, these stamps for the water area that they use for Bloody Puddles, just we don't have anything that looks similar to it. Oh man, now that I put this black or this brown background on, I noticed that there's like a really bad spot right here. So I need to find out which pathway it is, and I need to fix that. All right, so I managed to fix that little bubble that was over here on this pathway. Now, I was looking at the different pathways, guys, and I kind of don't want to like make them all the same. Like, even though like on Bloody Puddles, Ninja Kiwi did a really good job at like making it so all the puddles were like really even. So I do want to like make them semi-even, but I don't want them to be like perfectly even, if that makes sense. Because even though like the original Bloody Puddles map, they all look like really even, I feel like that would just be like a little bit too hard to like try to replicate in the map editor. So I'm just doing my best to like kind of look them kind of make them look semi-uniform, but at the same time not as uniform as they are on Bloody Puddles. So I think for the most part, I think that's gonna about do it. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to go through and I want to add all of the water features. All right, so right here, these are the 4 major water features on the map. There's one more down here, but I think I'm going to exclude that one and I'll just add a stamp. It won't act as a like a water spot, but it will still add that little bit of extra detail. Now with these ponds, my ponds are going to be a little bit different than what they are on Bloody Puddles, but for the most part, I think like using this like type of watering hole they should end up looking pretty decent, at least with the tools that we currently have in the BTD6 Map Editor. So there's our first watering hole, and then let me go ahead and come up here to the second one. Like I was saying, the watering holes aren't going to be perfect, but I do really like the way that this water looks. Like, it gives off a swampy vibe, which is exactly what we're going for, right? Now, another thing that's really bothering me right now, I don't know how I'm going to get these backgrounds to blend into the map a little bit better. I may need to go through and I may need to add like a couple of stamps underneath the background, but the only problem is that there really aren't too many stamps that we can add in the background that I think would look good. Or at least any stamps that we can add in the background that would make it look good. Like, I have a couple of ideas, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. We've already accomplished like the main goal that we're like trying to go for, and that of course is turning Bloody Puddles into a beginner map. But just because we already accomplished the main goal, that doesn't mean that I don't want this map to look good, right? So I have an idea of how to like make this background blend into the map a little bit better, and it's making use of some of these stamps. Now, what if I like use these stamps and I like made a side drop to all of these pathways? I think that would make it blend into the map a little bit better. It's just I don't know what I want to use. Oh, dude, this actually looks kind of sick. Okay, so if I took this and I made this all along all of the sides of these pathways, I think that would look really, really, really dope. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a speedy bit of like placing all of these stamps along this pathway. So I hope you guys enjoy this little bit of a speedy bit, and I'll see you guys here in just a second. But all right, dudes, I think this looks pretty good for the unofficial official version of Bloody Puddles. So I really like the way that this turned out. Like, it gives a overgrown feel and it really adds that swampy vibe. So like I was saying, one of the biggest issues that I have with like creating these official versions or these unofficial versions of official maps is that I'm always worried about how I'm going to make the pathway blend into the background. So I'm so glad that we had this stamp and I was able to use this stamp to like kind of blend the pathway into the background of the map a little bit better. So now that we've done all of this, I do think there are a couple more features that we have to add to the Bloody Puddles. I need to take another look at the Bloody Puddles map to see if there's anything else that we can add in the background to add a little bit more detail. All right, so I added a little bit of a detail in the background. Now, one thing that they have on Bloody Puddles is they have all of these ferns, and these ferns act like a little bit of ambiance in the background. They really don't serve any other purpose other than like just adding a little bit of detail along the border. And they also had like a tree up here in the top right and a bushel of trees down here in the bottom left. Now, we don't have the trees that they use on the actual Bloody Puddles map, but we do have these dark spruce trees, so I thought these dark spruce trees would work pretty well too. Now, another thing that they use in the background is they use like this bright green, like swampy, I don't even know what to call it, but they use these. But the only problem, again, is that they're a little bit too small compared to what they use on the actual Bloody Puddles map. So they're gonna look a little bit weird if we like place them out in the open. So I'm just gonna be like placing them in the areas where they have them placed underneath like different objects and whatnot. So they have them placed up here in the top, and this is what I was talking about, it looking a little bit weird. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get away with like overlapping them, because when I overlap them, like I was saying, they look a little bit weird. So I don't want to have like too many spots where they actually overlap. Instead, I just want to do it like this, because I think this is how it's going to look. I think this is going to look best, because once we like start overlapping them, then it's just going to look like a gaggle of like, it's just going to look like a gaggle of like stamps, and I don't want that. So instead of like just like making like big ones, I'll just like place a couple of smaller ones around the map, and hopefully that looks pretty good. So we'll place them next to these ferns because I think they would like add a little bit more contrast next to the ferns, which I think would look pretty good. Then also I want to add one down here. Let's go ahead and add another one up here next to these ferns. And then let's go ahead and add some next to these ones down here. And again, I'm just doing this because this is what they use in the actual Bloody Puddles map. It's just that the prop in the BTD6 Map Editor is just a little bit smaller than the one that they use in the official maps. Also, they also use these like swampy bits. Now, again, we're gonna run into the issue of these swampy bits not being as big as the ones that they use in the actual Bloody Puddles map. So the only thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try my best to like try and make these like blend into the corners of these ponds, because I want to use them because they definitely fit the swampy vibe that we're going for. The only problem that we're going to run into again is that I hope it doesn't look too weird with like these randomly placed like swampy bits, but I just want to do my best to like try and replicate the vibe that Bloody Puddles has. So I'll only use like a couple of them per area. And actually, I think I'm going to remove this one because I think that one looks a little bit weird. So I'll only use like one or two of them per area. And this one looks a little bit weird as well. So let's go ahead and get rid of that one. And I think that's going to about do it for like the swampy parts. Maybe I'll erase this one as well. And I'll do like something like this. And because I kind of like a little bit of the blue atmosphere around the side of it. So I think that looks pretty good. Like obviously, again, it's not going to look as good as the official map, because the official map, the props are a lot bigger. So the main thing that I'm doing is I'm just trying to make this blend in as good as I can. All right, I'm looking through all of the different props we have and like what I can do to add a little bit more like pizzazz to this map. And I think I'm gonna have to add like another bushel of rocks over here. I know it's not in the official map, but this little spot over here is looking a little bit barren because we don't have like the big stamps that they use in the official map. So I think just by adding a couple of rocks over here, it's going to add a lot of like life to this map. and it's going to also add a lot of detail, because the main thing that we need to keep in mind when we're creating our custom maps is that we don't want to have like giant barren spots, because if we have like giant barren spots, then it's going to make our map look a little bit weird, and I want this map to look as good as I can make it look, right? But yeah, just by adding like this little rock effect down here, it instantly added so much detail in the bottom right, where I felt like we were lacking in detail. So now the next thing I want to do, like, what should I add underneath these rocks? I think the only thing that we're going to be able to get away adding is the shader effect underneath the rocks, because there's nothing else that we can really add. Now, one thing with this map is because we don't have removable objects, I went ahead and I made all of these rocks like so they're not blocking, because again, I wanted this to be a beginner map, but so I didn't want to make it like too hard. I think one thing I'll do is I'll make it so like we can't place like monkeys on top of these rocks, but you'll still be able to shoot through the rocks. And then just to add a little bit of detail, I'll go through with like these like I want to say like small puddles, just to add a little bit of extra detail to our map. So we'll add these like small puddles in like random spots around the map, and that should add a little bit of added detail as well. And then I think once I get done with that, there's nothing else that we can really do with these like small areas here. Like, I was thinking about adding lily pads, but on the official like map, they don't have any lily pads. They do use the prop that I've already used a lot in this map, and to add a little bit of detail along the side. But because we already like use that prop a lot for the like background of our pathways, I don't want to overuse it. So I think I'm going to leave the puddles just the way that we have them now. And now I think it's about time that we go through and add all the shade. Now with the shade, I want to like kind of keep in mind that there's holes in between these rocks. So I want to like use the smaller shade for like the smaller rocks, like kind of like offset, or like not kind of offset, but kind of add a little bit of contrast by not having shade in some spot. But it's kind of difficult because again, we can't control like the size of the shade. So we just want to do our best to like leave a couple of spots that we don't have any shade on. And then for the ferns, I'm not going to add any shade behind the ferns, but for the most part, guys, I do need to add, so I can't place towers here, because I want to like kind of like, or I want this to add as like a barrier to where we can't place monkeys, but at the same time we could still shoot through these rocks, because these rocks aren't like super big. So I thought it would make a little, or so I thought it made complete sense, like have it to where you couldn't place towers on the rocks, but at the same time you could like still shoot through them. And I'm going to do the same thing with these rocks down here as well. Even though like players probably won't be positioning their towers down here, I just want them to like make sure that they like couldn't place towers on top of these rocks. And then dudes, having a final look at this map, like I really like this map. There is one more thing that we're gonna have to do, and we're gonna have to come over here to the props once again. And we're going to have to add like raindrops to all of these puddles. And you guys will see what that is here in just a second. All right, so with these raindrops, we're going to be adding these raindrops to these watering holes. Now, unfortunately, I can't see how big these raindrops are, so I just need to wait a second until it seems like we have a good spot. And then the reason why I'm adding all of these raindrops is because on the official Bloody Puddles map, for the background effect, they actually use the rain. So if we're going to be using the rain, we want water droplets to be in all of these like small pots, because then it's going to make the rain background look really, really good. The only problem with this background is that there really aren't too many water droplets coming from the background. But all right, so now that we have the background effect set, let's just go ahead and choose some music. So for the music, we're going to choose something that has like a little bit more of a dingy vibe. So let me go ahead and find that really quick. All right, so we're not going to be able to get away with like having like a dark and dingy vibe, but like I don't want to like choose Onslaught. Like Onslaught sounds really, really good. Because I mean, it's like the main boss theme, but I don't know how I feel about that just with like without a boss, right? And then same thing for Primal One. So I think Winter Night's Chilled is like, it gives like a calm vibe. So I think it goes well with like the raindrop backgrounds. So now that we have our map set up, we have the background music and the background effect. Let's go ahead and play and publish our map. Yeah, dude, the thumbnail looks so good. I'm so glad that I went through and I added all of that grass behind the pathway, because that that adds so much detail. So because all of the balloons are going to be coming through the same pathway, this is actually like the one time that we can use Sada on this map. Dude, this is so cool. I'm so glad that you guys came up with the idea to remaster or turn Bloody Puddles into a beginner map, because I think it's a really cool idea. But anyways, dudes, while we're beating this map, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the series. I know I say this in each and every single video that I upload, but I just really appreciate all of you guys like stopping by and watching these videos, because it's really supporting the channel, and I'm really happy that you guys are enjoying this map creation series, because I have a lot of fun doing it. That being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe as well. That way you guys don't miss out on future uploads. And dudes, I want to do a little bit of a challenge with you guys. I want to set a like goal of 100 likes for this video, and if this video hits 100 likes, I'll go through and I will try to make it past round 300 on this map. So I think this is something that I think would be a really fun thing that I do for all these maps, is I set a like goal for every map that I create, and if we hit that like goal, I'll go through and I'll try to like set a record for like the highest round that we can go to on that map. And of course, dudes, as always, if you guys have any maps that you guys would like to see me create, please feel free to let me know in the comments below, because you guys always come up with like really cool ideas, and I always get a lot of inspiration from you guys. Man, this map looks so satisfying with all of the balloons coming in on the map at the same time, and then all of the balloons getting popped at the same time. Dude, this map was such a good idea. I'm so glad that you guys gave me the idea to create this map. And so far, like, this map is working out perfectly. Like, if any of the balloons do end up like slipping through the end here, then our Sada ends up like cleaning up all of the balloons. Like, I definitely think we turn this into a beginner map, and not just a beginner map, but I think we turned it into a easy beginner map at that. But alright, dudes, there we have it. We have officially beaten our map. Alright, and of course, last thing we have to do before we publish our map is we have to name our map. So the name of our map is going to be Bloody Puddles 2.0. So if you guys would like to play this map for yourself, here is the map code. But anyways, dudes, again, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you dudes in the next one.